Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to address the nation tonight at 8 PM IST and 2:30 PM GMT. Indian Armed Forces top brass reveal how India crippled Pakistan's defences in the aftermath of the first strike of Operation Sindoor, hitting key air bases, radars and communications, with viral video clips to boot. Air Vice Marshal Bharati credits India's layered integrated air defence systems for protecting military and civilian infrastructure. The role of India's indigenous surface-to-air missile Akash highlighted. Indian markets, Sensex and Nifty surge by almost 4%, logging their best day-long session in nearly 4 years. Sensex surges 2,975 points, Nifty zooms by 916. And Virat Kohli announces his retirement from Test cricket at the age of 36, concludes a remarkable 14-year career in the longest format of the game. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing the nation at 8 PM Indian Standard Time this evening. Earlier in the day, the PM chaired a high-level meeting at his residence in national capital Delhi. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan and chiefs of the three services were present for the meeting. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri also attended the meeting. And the Director Generals of Military Operations of all three services, that's the Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force, briefed the nation on Operation Sindoor. Air Marshal A.K. Bharti reiterated that India fights against terrorism and the terrorists. Accordingly, on the 7th of May, India targeted only terrorist sites. But he said it was Pakistani military which chose to support terrorists and turned the entire matter into a personal conflict.
We also iterated that our fight was with terrorists and their support infrastructure and not with Pakistan military. However, it is a pity that the Pakistan military chose to intervene and bat for the terrorists, which compelled us to respond in kind.
The Air Marshal also said India's robust air defence systems effectively thwarted Pakistani attempts to target Indian installations.
This robust AD system comprises of a large variety of multi-layered AD sensors and weapon systems, from point defense weapons like the low-level air defense guns, shoulder-fired manpads, and short-range surface-to-air missiles or SAMs, to area defense weapons like the air defense fighters and longer-range surface-to-air missiles within our inventory. Additionally, the numerous waves of drones and unmanned combat aerial vehicles employed by Pakistan were also thwarted by the indigenously developed soft and hard kill counter-US systems and the well-trained Indian air defense personnel. All this was brought together as an efficient and effective AD environment by the Integrated Air Command and Control System, or the ISCCS of the Indian Air Force.
Further, he said that another highlight was the stellar performance of indigenous air defense systems like the surface-to-air missile system Akash.
Another highlight has been the stellar performance of the indigenous air defense weapon system like the Akash system. I would like to mention that putting together and operationalization of this potent AD environment has been possible over the last decade due to unwavering budgetary and policy support provided by the Government of India in acquiring state-of-the-art equipment and weapon systems.
The Air Marshal also said that all the military bases and systems continue to remain fully operational and ready to undertake any mission if the need arises, completely discrediting Pakistan's claims of having struck India's facilities.
All our military bases, all our systems continue to remain fully operational and ready to undertake any future missions should the need so arise.
The Air Marshal also presented the composite picture of targets engaged by the Indian Air Force during Operation Sindoor with specific hits, namely Noor Khan Air Base, where video evidence was shown, and Rahim Yar Khan Air Base, where a crater was created on the runway. Coming to Director General of Military Operations, that's DGMO, Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, where he addressed the media as well on Operation Sindoor, and in his address, the Lieutenant General said in the last few years, the character of terrorist activities has changed. Innocent civilians are also being attacked.
मैंने आपको कल बताया था कि पिछले कुछ सालों में आतंक की गतिविधियों का कैरेक्टर जो है उसमें कुछ बदलाव आ रहा था। अब हमारी मिलिट्री के साथ साथ मासूम सिविलियंस जो कि अपना बचाव करने में विफल थे, उन पर भी हमले हो रहे थे। 2024 में जम्मू सेक्टर में शिवखोरी मंदिर को जाते हुए यात्री और इस साल अप्रैल में पहलगाम में मासूम पर्यटक इस खतरनाक ट्रेंड के विशेष उदाहरण हैं। पहलगाम तक पाप का ये घड़ा भर चुका था।
Further, the DGMO conveyed his deep appreciation to the nation's citizens for their invaluable contribution to the success of Operation Sindoor. He highlighted the mission's accomplishment through seamless coordination, fueled by the steadfast support of 1.4 billion countrymen.
In every single domain that Operation Sindoor has been prosecuted, there has been absolute synergy between the three services. Not only have we, in this endeavor, been fully supported by our government, departments and agencies, I cannot here not mention our 140 crore countrymen that have stood behind us with their prayers and goodwill, urging and inspiring us to achieve our mission and objectives. For that, we salute you. You are indeed the best. Jai Hind.
Also during the briefing, DGNO Vice Admiral A.N. Pramod said that India's powerful carrier battle group with formidable offensive capability was able to operate with impunity and maintained an uncontested presence in the area of operation.
In the current standoff, the presence of our aircraft carrier with large number of MiG-29K fighters and airborne early warning helicopters prevented any suspicious or hostile aircraft to close the carrier battle group within several hundred kilometers. Immediately after the cowardly incident by Pakistani-sponsored terrorist attack at Pahalgam, we had validated our anti-missile and anti-aircraft defense capability in a complex threat environment using cross-platform cooperative mechanism.
Let me now take you across to my colleague DD India's Nandita Dagar, who's been tracking all the developments related to Operation Sindoor, including this briefing. Good evening, Nandita. Just tell us, in terms of what these three senior officers, the DGMO and his counterparts in the Air Force as well as the Navy have revealed both today and tomorrow, can one safely say that whether be it on land, air or sea, India had Pakistan by the proverbial jugular?
Yes, you're right, Gautam. In fact, Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, who is the Director General of Military Operations, and he, of course, let me remind you that he has a very important job also at hand today. He's talking to his Pakistani counterpart, General Abdullah and General Kashif Abdullah on this ceasefire agreement, and we do not know the status whether these talks, they started at 5 p.m. and whether they've ended or not. We do not know that so far. But General Rajiv Ghai, he said it, he summarized it best, and he said that on this day when Virat Kohli, the Indian cricket star, he is retiring from Test cricket, and he, being a fan of Virat Kohli, said that when in the 70s and 80s, when he was growing up, and there was a bitter rivalry between the Australians and the English cricketing teams in the Ashes series, Dennis Lillee and Jeff Thompson were two dreaded fast-paced bowlers of the Australians, and they absolutely demolished the English batting lineup. I think it was the 1974-75 Ashes Cup, and that was when the Australians had coined the slogan that ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If Thompson doesn't get you, Lillee must. So I think that is the way he described this powerful, robust, integrated, multi-layered air defense system of Indian armed forces, which was capable of neutralizing and decimating, repelling all these projectiles, the drones, the swarms, the loitering munitions over our civilian and military infrastructure that Pakistan has been launching from the night of 7th of May till, of course, last night. Last night was the first peaceful night for the border areas from the LOC to Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat on the international border, that the border villages and hamlets were not bombarded. Otherwise, Pakistan, despite their DGMO requesting our DGMO for talks and then coming to an agreement on this ceasefire or ending of kinetic action, or as they call hostilities in air, land and sea, despite that, within a few hours they violated that on Saturday, on 10th of May.
Right.
So he summarized it best that this air defense shield is something like many layers of shields, where point defense weapons, then man-pads, which is man-portable air defense systems, then there are short-range surface-to-air missiles, then long-range surface-to medium-range surface-to-air missiles, then long-range long-range surface-to-air missiles, area defense weapons, and all of them are in a very
to sum up,
but all of them are in a very harmonized, complex grid. Yes,
to sum up, Nandita, it was our equipment,
yes,
be it because India has remained for years the largest arms importer in the world, or be it the indigenous equipment, that all of that, Akash and everything else, you mentioned the man-portable ones as well, they came out trump, while Pakistan stuff, which comes from as diverse sources as Turkey and China, proved to be duds.
Yes, in fact, documentary evidence was shown by our Director General of Air Operations, where these Chinese quadcopters and this Turkish Songer and Hia drones, biker drones, they were shown shattered to pieces, and they were actually engaged not by the Air Force, they were engaged by the the Army air defense batteries. So you can just imagine the not just the Air Force's air defense shield, the multi-layered integrated air defense system, but it was also the integrated with the Army. So there was perfect synergy, not just between the Army and Air Force air defense system, but also with the BSF. The BSF also neutralized on the borders, on the border posts. They also neutralized various unmanned aerial systems, small drones, and therefore therefore, the Director General of Military Operations was very appreciative of this concerted synergy and integration between not just between the three services, but also he lauded the nation's citizens standing behind the armed forces. As for the Made in India systems, the air operations, the Director General of Air Operations, Air Marshal Bharati, he said that the legacy, not just the S-400, but also the Made in India Akash surface to air missile has performed very well, capable of engaging and targeting multiple targets at once, and also the legacy systems like Pichora, Osaka, and all these have come into play. So it's not just so India's equipment,
vintage,
be it new or the old ones which we've been using for decades, has really trumped Pakistan and has given it a huge blow as far as military capability is concerned, and
yes.
India has dominated in all the three domains: air, land, and sea.
Yes, yes, Nandita, thank you so much for joining us with that evaluation of what the DGMO and his colleagues really briefed the media about. Thanks. Now, normalcy has returned to the border areas of India following the second day of peace along India's western frontiers. The overnight period in Jammu and Kashmir and other international border regions reported 0 incidents. Markets have reopened as usual and border area residents are returning to their homes. Now, this marks the first calm night in the recent period. However, security establishment is still on high alert. Several border districts of Rajasthan on Monday saw people engaging in their returning to their routine activities, reflecting a sense of normalcy. According to a precautionary measure, schools, colleges and coaching institutions remained closed on Monday in several border districts. It was also a public holiday because it's Buddha Purnima. While blackout in Jaisalmer continued overnight along with Bikaner, Sri Ganganagar and Bardmer districts. The administration has appealed to residents to stay alert and follow safety advisories. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. US and China agree on a 90-day pause in a tariff war, slash tax levels substantially. The news eases pressure on global financial markets. And Iran does not seek nuclear weapons is what its president has said. He reiterates the stand after the 4th round of talks between Washington and Tehran in Oman.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, Indian indices, Sensex as well as Nifty, closed on a strong note with both the benchmarks being in the green today. In fact, having their best day in the last 4 years. The benchmark BSE Sensex surged 2,975 points to 82,429, while the Nifty 50 rose 916 points to settle at 24,924. The biggest Nifty gainers included Infosys, Adani Enterprises, Shriram Finance and HCL Technologies. The tariff issue had a pivotal role in the market's consolidation over the last 1 year. But the sudden easing of US-China tariff war unlocked multiple investment avenues for punters. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Monday promised net migration would fall significantly by 2029 as he announced policies to boost skills and training. Starmer added that many immigrants would have to wait longer before getting the status they need to claim welfare. The new rules stated automatic settlement and citizenship for people who move to Britain will apply after 10 years, up from 5 years now, although highly skilled workers would be fast-tracked.
Well, I'm promising it will fall significantly, and I do want to get it down by the end of this Parliament significantly. That is what this plan is intended to achieve, the complete opposite of what you saw in the last 4 years. It is frankly incredible that net migration quadrupled in 4 short years to nearly 1 million. This white paper, these plans bring it back into control.
The US and China said on Monday that they have agreed to a deal to slash reciprocal tariffs. Speaking after talks with Chinese officials in Geneva, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that the two sides had reached a deal for a 90-day pause on measures. He added that reciprocal tariffs would come down by 115%. The combined 145% US levies on most Chinese imports will be reduced to 30%, including the rate tied to fentanyl by the 14th of this month. Meanwhile, the 125% Chinese duties on US goods will be dropped down to 10%. The Geneva meetings were the first face-to-face interactions between senior US and Chinese economic officials since US President Donald Trump returned to power for the second time around and launched a global tariff blitz against China as well as the rest of the world.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moves down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%. We had very robust.
Now, the fourth round of US and Iran talks over Tehran's nuclear program ended in Oman on Sunday, with both the sides confirming plans for future negotiations. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the latest talks were, and I quote, more serious and more detailed, end quote, than previous rounds, indicating a potentially constructive direction for ongoing discussions. The officials said both sides signaled readiness for further talks, despite Tehran's insistence on enriching uranium and US hardline rhetoric.
We can now say that both sides have a better understanding of each other's positions. Many of the main points of disagreement have now been more thoroughly discussed. Their dimensions have been further clarified. There is now a better mutual understanding and the positions have somewhat come closer. I can state that we have decided that these negotiations will continue. Both sides are determined and we have agreed to hold the next meeting.
Meanwhile, speaking at a cabinet meeting, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian asserted that Iran has no intention of developing nuclear weapons. Pezeshkian underlined Iran's dedication to using nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, including in healthcare and agriculture.
The Islamic Republic of Iran is not seeking nuclear weapons. America said they wanted to be sure that we did not want to acquire nuclear weapons and we were ready with all our might, but for them to state and announce that we would abandon the issue of peacefulness in nuclear research and then for them to want to negotiate with us is something that is absolutely unacceptable. We need nuclear technology in healthcare, agriculture, industry, the environment and industry, and we are not going to give up this achievement so easily.
Let's now get to the big story on the sporting arena, where India's iconic cricketer Virat Kohli has officially announced his retirement from Test cricket at the age of 36, concluding a remarkable 14-year career in the longest format of the game. He made the announcement via a heartfelt Instagram post, expressing gratitude for the journey and the personal growth he experienced through Test cricket. Here's more.
India's iconic cricketer Virat Kohli has called time on his illustrious Test career, bringing an end to a 14-year-old career that started in 2011. Kohli announced his decision to step away from red ball cricket on social media platform. He wrote, and I quote, "It's been 14 years since I first wore the baggy blue in Test cricket. Honestly, I never imagined the journey this format would take me on. It's tested me, shaped me and taught me lessons I'll carry for life. I'm walking away with a heart full of gratitude for the game, for the people I shared the field with, and for every single person who made me feel seen along the way. I'll always look back at my Test career with a smile." The retirement marked the end of an illustrious Test career of 14 years, during which he made 9,230 runs in 123 Tests with 30 centuries. The Delhi batter made his Test debut against the West Indies on June 20, 2011 in Kingston. Since then, Kohli went on to dominate the format, becoming India's most successful batter between the period of 2010 and 2019. He became the third highest Test run getter in the period, piling on 7,202 runs at 54.97 average and 27 centuries, the most by any batter in the time. However, his form dipped following COVID period in 2020. He only managed to put 2,028 runs in 68 innings with 3 centuries. Incidentally, Kohli's 30.72 average is the lowest among all 24 Test batters who have aggregated at least 2,000 runs since 2020. Despite his abrupt decision to call time on his red ball career, Kohli will arguably go down as one of India's finest batters in the format. The former Indian captain stands fourth on the all-time charts among Indian batters, only behind the legendary trio of Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid and Sunil Gavaskar with 9,230 runs at a 46.85 average. Kohli took over the Test captaincy reins following MS Dhoni's Test retirement in 2014 and led India over a successful 8-year tenure. In 68 outings as skipper, Kohli marshalled India to 40 Test wins, making him the most successful Indian Test captain ever. Only Graham Smith, Ricky Ponting and Steve Waugh have registered more Test wins among international captains. Despite starting the 2024 Border Gavaskar Trophy with a century against Australia in Perth, Kohli ended the tour on a horror note with a repeated pattern of caught behind dismissals hampering his game, amassing only 193 runs. Reactions poured in from across the cricket fraternity to wish the modern-day legend. From AB de Villiers to Gautam Gambhir, everyone hailed the legacy of Kohli. Kohli's retirement from the longest format of the game adds to the exodus of Indian veterans. Ravichandran Ashwin and Rohit Sharma have already called it quits, and now Virat Kohli has become the third one to follow suit. Sports Desk, DD India.
Well, that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and for all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.